Good evening. Thank you, Dr. Slagle, for your kind introduction. I would like to thank the audience, the committee members who chose me among so many highly qualified nominees. My beloved nurse, Lisa, who nominated me, and all our nurses without whom we could not serve our patients. I also extend my thanks to all my colleagues who generously supported this nomination. I should not forget to thank our daughter and her family who drove all the way from Maryland for one day to be here with us tonight. Before I start, I'd like to tell you, when I found out about my co-honoree, Dr. Kinzer, I said, wow, I should have taken one of her public speaking courses before tonight. I am truly moved and honored by this nomination and quite excited to share my story with you tonight. I'm sure many of you are curious to know where I came from and how I got here. I was the sixth out of 8 kids born in Mashhad in northeast Iran. Mashhad was known to all Iranians for its holy shrine and the university. Neither of my parents had higher education, and this was not by choice. This was solely due to their family and social circumstances. In 1927, when my mother was in the 6th grade, the king at the time wanted to westernize the country, so he issued a decree that prohibited girls and women from appearing in public in their hijab or head coverings. This was completely unacceptable to my very religious grandmother, who said, "My daughters are not to get out of the house in those funny hats." This caused my mother to be deprived from entering even high school. And she was a bright, curious girl with photographic memory. This changed my mother's destiny. However, it was a blessing for us, the children. We were lucky to have this very kind, loving, caring, enthusiastic, and energetic soul always on our side. She was such a role model in every aspect of our life. She inspired us to be a good human being before becoming a responsible professional. Both our parents were extremely dedicated to happiness and success of their children. They encouraged and supported us through higher education. I feel so fortunate to be part of the kind and loving family they raised. I owe my success and this award not only to these great parents, but also to my husband, Hamid, who sacrificed his medical career for the well-being of our daughter and myself. Going back to my early years, from a very young age, I guess I was a nerd. I had such a deep love for learning. Thanks to my older siblings, I was able to read the newspaper headlines before entering school. When I was entering ninth grade, the first mixed boys and girls school for gifted students opened in my hometown. Most of the teachers were American. That's where I learned English. This iconic school was only the second one of the kind in the whole country. My mother encouraged me to take the entrance exam, and when she went to unenroll me from my previous high school, the principal asked her, "How could a woman of faith like you put her 14-year-old girl in a mixed school? Boys and girls at this age are like cotton and fire, don't you know?" My mother responded, "I have raised my kids such that I trust them even if I left them in the barracks." Her statement made me so proud and at the same time even more responsible. Being the valedictorian of this university-affiliated high school granted me entry to medical school in Mashhad University, which was one of only 5 public universities we had in the whole country at the time. That's where I met my husband. We sat in the same classroom for 7 years. We seemed to have loved each other from early on. However, we never said a word about it and kept this secret in our hearts until years later. This was due to our conservative upbringing. In 1979, when the revolution happened and the Islamic Republic was becoming more established, I was in my 5th year of a 7-year medical education program. Lots of changes happened, including in the university environment. Now, all at once, we were required to have head coverings. This is just the opposite of what happened in my mother's generation. However, this time, we complied with the law of the land to be able to continue our professional journey. I was one of the few students who spent many evenings and weekends during my 3 clinical years working along a group of women's health professionals to gain extra knowledge and skills in obstetric and gynecology, which has served me and my patients ever since. After finishing my internship and graduation from medical school, I decided to go into practice in a rural area. Working in an underserved area of Iran as the first and only female physician was one of the best and most rewarding experiences in my professional life. I started my career in Bandar Turkmen, which is located along the Caspian Sea, along the southeast of Caspian Sea. Bandar Turkmen was where the ethnic group of Turkmens lived, and many of our patients, especially the older generation, did not speak our national language, Farsi. So I had to learn a second foreign language in my home country. It was Turkmeni, to be able to communicate with my patients. I was astounded to find out about rather high morbidity and mortality of the village women during and after childbirth. With the cooperation of the head of the health department, I became the founding physician for a birth center at the health department. This action put me on call almost every night, as some of my young male colleagues did not feel comfortable delivering a baby. I was picked up by the ambulance multiple times in the evenings to go for a delivery as I was shopping at the market. After over a year of serving at the health department, my husband and I got married, and we went into private practice together. We were available to our patients day and night as we lived in an apartment above our offices. Our patients called it Dr. Gerayli and Dr. Mehrbaksh Health Department. We were very happy serving the community and delivered many babies. I had so many sleepless nights, but luckily my husband was there to help see my patients the next day when I was too tired. After a couple of years, our precious daughter was born. As she was growing up and the social restrictions for women and girls were increasing, we decided it was time for us to pursue our dream of further training in the US. This road was certainly not a paved one for us. We faced barriers that took several years to overcome. We had a longer stay than expected in Germany, as we were denied visas to the US. However, we did not waste time. We used the opportunity to learn German and attend acupuncture courses and worked with some great German physicians, which enhanced our knowledge and skills. Finally, I made it to the US, and in 1997, luckily was able to get into a family medicine residency in an underserved area of Southeast Kentucky. That was exactly what I was hoping for. I chose family medicine because I love the bonding and connection you build with your patients. The fact that you look at the whole patient, not one organ system. You understand their body and their soul and how intertwined and inseparable they are. After my 3 years of training in Lexington and Hazard, Kentucky, I joined the faculty in Hazard. Dr. Joe Florence was our program director and a great mentor to me. We worked hard and we worked long hours there. With fewer faculty, lack of ancillary services, and the less fortunate population, some without insurance, I found myself doing the job of not only a physician, but also a social worker to ensure that patients get their prescribed medicine. I was lucky that my husband was there for our daughter, a teenage immigrant to the US. They both worked hard to give me the time and opportunity to serve the community. I am sure I could not have done it well without their support. I worked tirelessly in Hazard, Kentucky for 7 years, before Dr. Florence encouraged me to join the faculty at ETSU. It was not an easy decision for me to leave my residency and patients behind. However, I am very glad I made the decision to come here. I have been in Johnson City since 2005 and have had enormous joy working at ETSU Family Medicine. I have been working with a team of bright faculty, residents, and medical students. Along with our nurses and staff, we have had a happy family medicine family here. We teach and we learn. In Johnson City, I have been able to practice the whole breadth of family medicine, but also share my experience in women's health with my colleagues. I've been able to direct our women's health curriculum and train our residents and medical students on women's health issues and gynecological procedures. As a family physician, being a faculty member has given me the opportunity to serve the community along with our interprofessional team, to teach, and to do some scholarly activity. I have been privileged to co-author several articles with my scholar colleagues, Dr. Bayard, Dr. Holt, and Dr. Florence. I could not be happier in any other position than family medicine at ETSU Health. Family medicine is not the easiest field, but certainly the most rewarding one. I have many heartwarming stories about our patients, but the one which I will never forget is the wonderful lady I met during hospital rounds. She was admitted for attempted suicide. Later, she came to the clinic and told me what gave her hope to live was my big smile and the calm reassurance I gave her in that hospital room. These kinds of stories keep us going. At the end, I wanted to express my deep appreciation and gratitude to my husband, Hamid, who sacrificed his career to make sure our teenage daughter was getting the love and attention in a new country while I was working long hours in Kentucky. Our daughter, Bana, has turned out to be such a wonderful, responsible professional. Bana and her husband, Mark, have given us the gift of two precious grandchildren, Niku and Neela, who are here tonight, and they are the brightest spots in our life. They are the only thing that can take me away from here. Thank you for allowing me to share my story with you, and thank you again for this wonderful honor.